Hey, Slim here, and this is a girls only video, so you have been warned. In 3, 2, 1, girls only. All right, let's begin. Did you just swipe left on me? Hot or Not, Tinder, all of these apps where we judge people basically simply on their appearance. If you swipe left, will God swipe left on you? If you swipe right, would God still swipe left on you? The Bible says that the way you measure people, it will be measured to you. The way you judge others, it will be judged on you. And so God wants to tell us that the things that we're saying are so important to us, like beauty, aren't as important. Proverbs is actually going to be talking a lot about beauty, and it's a book that's written like a father to a son, and so it's very male-oriented. It's like trying to find, picking up a Boy Scout book and saying, this is what it means to be a Boy Scout, but we can still make the application to Girl Scouts, okay? We can still see that the father talking to his son has a lot of meaning for the girls here today. So the dad is telling his son to value the character of a girl over the beauty, and saying value who she actually is more than the shape of the girl. And so he warns his son in many ways of saying, if you only seek after the beauty, at one point, here is who you will marry. She will be like a continual drip of water dripping on you, nagging, and saying, you don't want that. And neither do you as girls want that. You don't want to be the nag of your husband, nor do you want to beat down a husband in such a way that he is now doing everything you want him to do. He's like your puppy. In a sense, you kind of become his owner, almost like his mother. No one wants that. That's weird, that's gross. And so Proverbs is saying, value the character of the woman over the beauty. Flip this argument and apply it to you girls as well and say, let's not just judge guys based on whether they're hot or not. Now, looks are nice, but you would wish you were in a desert all alone or on the other side of a house than be with this love of your life. Proverbs also says that charm is deceptive and beauty fades. And this is the scariest thing of all, isn't it, girls? That the beauty that we so value fades. I see this all the time with moms trying to be in competition with their daughters, of trying to stay just as young as or just as pretty as their daughters. And they are so scared of the inevitable that the beauty fades.
I just want you to know, if you need anything, don't be shy, okay? There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Right, Regina?
Please stop talking.
Okay.
But it's a temptation, right? To say that I am what a guy thinks of me, that I am what the scale says, I am what my size is, that all of these things that we wrap our identity around, they all fade. They go away. It's cost you your life. Well, if your attractiveness is who you are and how you are seen with guys, then you are now feeding his sin of degrading you into just an image and not a person, allowing him to only see you as something to be taken. Because that's the thing that's on guys' minds all the time. You know, I have an itch, I scratch it. If I'm hungry, I get something to eat. If I have this desire, I go for sex. I mean, Proverbs talks about this in the negative way, talking about an adulteress, but it's true of guys. You know, that they eat, they wipe their mouth and say, I've done nothing wrong. It simplifies sex and just this desire of saying, I've just wiped my mouth, I'm done. It has nothing to do with enjoying the person. It's just this act. The problem is not our enjoyment of sex, it's our reorienting of sex. We've reoriented to become something about the thing, not the person. We go to it to find satisfaction, not to use it to connect to the person. And so sex is actually this good thing that God's saying we are twerking into something terrible, that we are looking at it to satisfy rather than using it to connect. And so that gets compounded when we use pornography to feed our sexual desires. And we look to it and we distance ourselves even further from a human being. And pornography is crazy destructive and crazy violent, and this industry that just subjugates girls into human trafficking, slavery. It demeans girls. It changes guys' view of girls, and it makes them not able to even interact with girls. It ruins and wrecks marriages. It is a terrible thing. I know it's not just about guys. Girls struggle with this as well, which is why we're talking about it. So is God anti-sex? No, he's very pro it. He actually wants you to have better sex. He wants us to stop settling with these things that are distancing ourselves from the person. He wants us to have better sex, to have better connection with the partner he's made for us. And that's why Proverbs gets very erotic. It gets almost over the top and uncomfortable to talk about as it's coming from the Bible. You wouldn't think it would happen there. But Proverbs 5, it may not sound like it starts out erotic, but listen, it says, drink from your own cistern, running water from your own well. And the image there is a female imagery with the cistern and the well. You have to actually go in to the well to get the water. And it says, drink from that well. Then he flips the image in verse 16 and says, should your springs overflow in the streets? And so a spring is not water that you go down to get, but it's a water that comes out. And it spurts out, and he's saying, should that go into the streets? And he's making the argument that these things are good, but should they be shared with others? No. He makes that clear in 17 and says it should never be shared. He's not saying don't have it, he's saying savor it. He's making that abundantly clear. In verse 18, he says, may her breast satisfy you always. May you ever be captivated by her love. I mean, the Bible saying this is encouraging a man to be satisfied by his wife's breast. And it says, may he be captivated by her love. And that's the Hebrew word of someone who's staggering in the street, drunk on love. I mean, God is so pro it and saying you need to have the better sex. It's saying sex is this beautiful thing that you should be satisfied with, be drunk with. And it's saying all of this is to merge these two. It's too beautiful to understand that these two become one. So sex is oneness. It is saying, come together. Stop looking past the partner, look to the partner. And God gives us this perfect image of oneness in the New Testament, where in Ephesians 5, he says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And so girls, you are to look for a husband who's going to love you the way Christ loves you, who's willing to die for you, who's willing to give it all up for you, to become one with you. And so don't let these guys degrade you. Don't let them ask you to send them images of yourself, and don't tempt them either. So see yourself as one who is worth dying for, the way Christ, who was willing and did die for you. Now, a lot can be said about the Proverbs 31 woman. I mean, that's 22 verses of this woman who you wonder, is that even possible, to have the person who works endlessly,
makes her own clothes, does her own bed coverings, oversees her household, does real estate, runs a vineyard, operates a small business, fears the Lord, is wise, noble, trustworthy, and finds time to feed the poor?
Jeez. Wow. Now, it's an awesome picture of the woman that God can make you into, or is calling you to be, but many times this passage can be used to shame women, of saying, here are these ways that you don't measure up. That the Proverbs 31 is not this universal checklist of saying, this is what it looks like to fear the Lord. That's not what it is. That's why it begins in such a way. It says, an excellent wife who can find, saying, this is impossible. But it's saying, here is this, not this checklist of all the things you need to do, but here's this general picture of the woman who is going to love her husband well. So girls, see yourselves as more than just the outward appearance. It's more than just the looks. It's about the character that God is telling guys to look after. And the reverse is true for you, to be looking at guys' character and make sure those guys don't nag you, making sure those guys are encouragers to you as well. And so it works both ways, for us to not overvalue beauty in ourselves and not to overvalue it in others, but to look to the person and love them and seek out the person who's going to love you the way Christ loved you and is willing to die for you, even when beauty fades.